Rune reading with me and Lorien just to see what kind of big changes are going to happen. Now this isn't like the rune reading on the new moons. This is slightly different. This is going to be something more kind of universal, maybe even for the next few months. So we're going to be looking at the things coming through over the course of that period. If you would like a rune reading with myself, just to see how this eclipse is going to affect you personally, just click on the link below. It'll take you to my website, or email me at lorientarot@gmail.com. Obviously I do other readings too, tarot and other things as well, like video and Skype, but if you want a rune reading, the best way to do it is to email me or go to the website. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put my intention into the runes. Now these runes are some runes that my sister, well I call her my sister but we're basically sisters, in Wellington, New Zealand, sent me a while ago, and these are the runes that I use to learn the rune reading. So I'm just going to put my intention into them just to see what's coming through for the eclipse. And as you may know, runes do not beat around the bush. Runes are incredibly frank, at least in my experience. So we're all going to get everything warts and all for this one. We won't unfortunately see it here in the UK, at least where I am, because it's incredibly overcast and rainy. But let's see what comes through. Alright, now I'm just going to shuffle. It may be a bit loud, but let's have a look. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay, so I am literally only focusing on what's on the cloth right now. I may potentially go this side and see what's gone before, but we will see. And I don't think you can see the very bottom one, but there is a little one here. There you go. Let's see what comes through then. What am I drawn to first? Actually, I'm drawn to this one in the middle. This is Bacana. This is about fertility and birth. But sometimes it is about love affairs, but it can also be about just the growth and liberation that comes with learning. So that's interesting. Now this is actually near Degaz, but Degaz is in reverse. So this normally, if it was that way, would be about breakthrough, but here it's about a bit limiting and maybe feeling a little bit hopeless. So with that underneath Bacana, or just underneath Bacana, to me, we're ready for growth. We're ready for seeing the new changes that we'll want to embrace. So for instance, in our careers, we may just be really ready for the next stage. I've seen a lot of people, and a lot of my clients as well, have come to me saying, Lorien, I feel like I'm a car revving at the gate and I can't go past this gate, and it's like I'm a barrier and it's just not allowing me to rev forwards. I've got all this power in me and I can't get past this stage. It's like nobody's telling me to go and things like that. So I understand your issues when you're kind of going through this sort of situation. I really do. Within this growth here, you really want to be able to soar and have this kind of give birth to something new, let your heart set free. But with this, I think because it's slightly down, I would say that some of you are finding it hard, or will find it hard, because of limitations that are beyond your control. What I will say though is that that limit is ending. That sense of hopelessness is ending. That's actually moving more towards that way. It's kind of going that way. So I would say that even though they're not directly connected, they are influencing each other, and any endings that we're experiencing is going to give way to this growth and this new beginning and this birth of a new life for us all. And I really think this is quite important for everybody to kind of take note of, because a lot of it is to do with how we feel within ourselves, and that's exactly what the solar eclipse is going to try and do. It's going to try and get into the shadow self and say, hey, put a spotlight on that, see what you want to bring out and what you want to get rid of about yourself, and then move forwards. It could be that you've put off cleaning the house for a while. It could be that you've put off saying I'm sorry to somebody in particular. I don't know. But it could be that you just need to kind of make amends with things that you're not happy with and push them to one side. And then up here we have ISA, which is all about challenge and reinforcements. So whatever challenge we've had, we're going to get back up to go through that. I think this is more towards December. They're showing me December for some reason for this. So around the new year, we're going to look forward to the challenges 2018 is going to bring, because we know we have each other's backs. We know that we are actually able to kind of proceed into something higher consciousness, into something that feels better. We're not going to be in a complete egomania. We're not going to be blind to the things that are happening around us. We're all opening our eyes, and thanks to the eclipse, we're going to be able to see it a lot clearer. The only thing that slightly concerns me is Ansu's here, which is the Odin's rune, and this is basically about leadership and power of words. And with this being almost in reverse, I think we need to work more on this. We need to work more on our vision. We need to work more on how we incorporate our daily communications. So, for instance, you could have really received an email even this week that maybe put you on the back level a bit, like, I don't like that. And you could get some people, especially now we're in Mercury retrograde too, whereas people kind of are snapping at you. Now, I don't like it when people snap, and it can really bring you down. So I think that a lot of it is basically putting two and two together and saying, look, I have power in my words, and I'm not going to be the one to use that unwisely. And that's, I think, what we need to do. Because Leo, because the solar eclipse is in Leo, seems like it's a pretty good thing. It seems like it's going to show us in the spotlight a little bit, but also the shadow selves need to be sorted out here. So this one's coming to me next. I'm just trying to get in touch with her a little bit. I think it's more about health, this one, and the kind of electricity that keeps us going, the sort of lightning bolt of ideas and creativity. I would say there's a lot of success coming for all of us, and I would say also that if you've been waiting on a victory of some kind, you're going to get that victory. I also feel like you're going to feel more energetic in your life force and how you want to be around people and how you can relate to people as well. That seems to be very important, actually. How you are processing things, how you're actually processing your health as well. Make sure that you're working on your health over the next 6 months, because I think that's going to be quite important. If you're going to reinforce yourself and other people, you need to have the energy to do that. And then we have down here a cute little rune. Looks like a fish to a lot of people, but again, it's almost on that side, it's almost the reverse, and it should be like this. So this, to me, with Athila, by the way, this is all about the experiences that we have and how we assimilate that. How do we process the experiences? It could also be about karma. So we could be having a mix of karma over the next few weeks. If we're refusing to stand up to our shadow selves, if we're refusing to focus on the way that we live our lives and change that if we're not happy with it, this is probably going to say, hey, you need to look at yourself in the mirror. I think this, to me, is a little bit of a Pluto rune. It's kind of like Pluto comes in and sort of shoves people around. For particularly, and a lot of people that have come to me said, look, is Pluto in retrograde or something? Because they have people who are really supportive in their work suddenly turn on them, and then that pushes them into a decision. So if you're not making the right decisions, this rune is here to say, look, karma's going to whoop you and say, hey, you need to do something about this. You cannot ignore it any longer. So you need to do something, and you need to kind of wake up as to what's happening around you as well, I think. And then we have Gibo. So this actually looks to me like it's maybe in reverse, but I'm not feeling that it's in reverse, to be honest. To me, this really feels like it's about personal relationships. And along with this rune here, which is Wunjo, this is basically about joy and comfort and fellowship. So I think that we are going to be focusing over the course of the next few months on finding our soulmates. Now, when I say soulmates, I don't necessarily mean love relationships, but I do mean the people that your soul family, the people who are very much important to you. and who kind of understand you and that you have to learn from in this lifetime, and who they have to learn from you. That's very important, that you actually have this kind of life lesson with everybody. But this is going to be basically the foundation for you to kind of work on with everything else that's here. And I am just going to bring up this rune down here. This is Manaz. Now this was right at the bottom of the sheet, even though you couldn't see it, so I am going to include it. And this is about the human race. This is social order, this is awareness, and this is a self. Now if I put that down there, you won't see it, but it's just kind of like, I think the whole reading is based on this, because this was basically like, it's, you know, the little pillars here, it was like it was supporting everything. This is the time of the human race where we have to kind of own our mistakes, own that we're not perfect, but do something about it. The social order is not very much better than it was maybe 50 years ago. We're still struggling, we're still having the same arguments, we're still having the same stuff, and you may even notice that reflected in some of your personal relationships. You may notice that you're still having the same arguments, your family is still having the same issues, they're still not seeing from your point of view, and blah blah blah. We have to change ourselves before we can change the world. And I think that if we can group together in this, and I just looked at the clock and it was 11:11. So if we can actually change ourselves first, then we'll be able to move into something a lot greater than we maybe even realize. So to put it in shortness, we have to take responsibility. This is what the solar eclipse is doing. We have to stand up for ourselves. We have to be communicative. We have to appreciate the birth that's coming through of this new age. We have to agree to kind of improve ourselves, focus on what we need to do. And some of you, yeah, it may be kind of saying goodbye to friends that you've known for a while because they don't make you happy anymore. And some of you, it may be changing your career because it doesn't make you happy. Some of you, it'll just be like, hey, I'm taking this for myself. I'm not going to wait around. Like, for instance, a dear friend of mine recently said, look, I always advise people to just go out and take something for themselves. Go into a shop you've never been in before. Have a look around. Go and get some plants or something and plant them, and, you know, take something for you. I don't necessarily mean steal something, but just have experiences that you haven't had before. Even as if it's just like looking around a little shop, you know, or going down a path or a road that you've never been down before. You'll never know what perspective it'll give you. It may be just simple. It may be like, oh, I didn't know there was a laundrette down here. But it's something that I think is you. You are exploring, you're showing that you're wanting to go outside of the usual patterns, and that I think is going to help all of us, because we can't sustain the usual patterns that we have, and I think this is kind of changing it. And I do want to mention this one just at the last. This is the results. This is self-discipline, but it's also meditation. It's education, it's study, it's having that kind of knowledge that we can do better and that we are doing better, and that is kind of leveling up our social and spiritual beings. So basically, if you're watching this reading, you're kind of there now. You're prepared to ascend, but don't go too much in, but I don't wanna. Don't do that, because I think it's going to be so much better for you. I think it's going to be really, really good if you're able to kind of put yourself away from it and make sure that you can see things maybe in a completely new light. I honestly believe that this is going to be quite an impressive connection for you. And actually, this I think could even be read as determination, survival, and endurance. So I think they just put that on here. So I think this is about survival and endurance, and just basically making things better for ourselves. The universe is not gonna leave us, you know, alone. We are supported, but it's gonna make us accountable. It's gonna hold us accountable for the stuff that we're doing. So we may as well try and start now. And I do think that your personal issues that may be coming through are all kind of gonna fade. They're gonna change. They're going to be something entirely different by the time this kind of 3 months, 6 months period is over. So I think they just said to me, worry less, worry less. I know it's easier said than done. I'm a constant worrier, you know, so for me, it's easier said than done. But I do think that we're all going to have to support each other and be each other's systems, because this is big. Things are coming through this big. And I think that we're going to really appreciate the changes that it brings. We're going to go into a higher consciousness, basically. But if you want to know how that's going to affect your personal relationships, or how that's going to affect your time in the future, ask me for a reading if you like. You can email me, lorientarot@gmail.com, or you can go to the link to my website below. But yeah, feels like a really big turn. Let me know how things are going. Did you watch the eclipse? I know this probably won't upload until after it happens, but let me know how it went. I mean, I've last saw the eclipse 1990 something. So yeah, let me know how it goes. Let me know how it is for you. Really exciting time. And until next time, blessed be. Take care of yourselves, and I wish you all the very best.